Hey everyone, and welcome back to BMX News. This is a weekly BMX news show where I talk about everything that happened in the previous week within the world of BMX that I think you guys might care about. No real huge highlight things to talk about this week, so let's jump right on into the news. First thing is some sponsor-ish related news, and that is that Jeff Z is the new team manager for GT's BMX Freestyle team. Previously, Ben Ward was the TM along with being the BMX product manager. Now these are two separate roles where Jeff Z is the TM and Ben is the BMX product manager, allowing them to focus on their specific jobs rather than just having Ben doing all of it and trying to get everything done that's necessary. And if you guys have been paying attention for the past year or so, GT has been making a comeback in the freestyle world, and I think it's because Jeff Z has been involved and it's not just one person trying to do everything. So now with Jeff being the TM, you can only imagine how much better it'll probably be, being that Jeff also helps run our BMX. So it's pretty probable that having one of the same people who's involved with the new version of Ride BMX as your team manager is going to help things grow. So who knows, maybe we'll see a resurgence of GT. And I know that a lot of you older guys who are watching this have stories about GT because they've been involved in BMX for so long, and I'd love to hear some of those stories and comments. And maybe if you had a GT bike back in the day, I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. You can find the link to the press release from GT and words from Ben Ward and Jeff Z and GT themselves in a link in the description below, as well as links to everything else that I'm going to talk about today in the order that I talk about it. That's it for sponsorship news, so we can move on to contest and jam news. The first thing here is we have a park preview with Kevin Peraza for the Vans BMX Pro Cup 2019 series that is going down in Mexico, I believe, this weekend. To start out, Kevin does a flare to fakie over what looks like a 6-foot double coping spine. Kind of insane. Then he goes into talking about the course and how this is a freshly built skate park down in Mexico City. And then Trey Jones and Jason Watts came down and built a new box jump and curve wall ride to add to the park for the contest. Hopefully they'll be leaving it there after the contest, but yeah, this video is only 1:06 long and I kind of already said everything that happens in it. So if you want to watch Kevin do some riding and hear him basically repeat what I said with a little bit more info, check it out in the description below. Then we've got a video from our BMX of the first practice at this stop of the Vans BMX Pro Cup Tour series in Mexico City. And then we had a video recap from this year's Grindworks BMX Binghamton Jam that happens up at HCS Skate Park. This one looks like it was filmed with a potato, but there's a lot of good riding in here. And this is an extremely unique spot where there's stuff to ride that you will legitimately never find anywhere else. And there's also riding in this one from someone who is a participant in the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and that is the Lip Lords International Instagram game of BMX. It's a lot to say, but to simplify it, it's 64 guys from 9 countries all around the world set up in a bracket style playing games of BMX against each other. So the concept is simple. 64 riders picked at random to go against each other, where from the time of the first round being posted, the first person in each matchup picked had 72 hours to film and post their set on Instagram, tagging their opponent, and then from the time of their post, their opponent has 72 hours to film matching that set, as well as setting their own trick and get it posted, and it just goes back and forth until someone gets BMX. It's unlimited tries in 72 hours, and if you don't get it, you can post a mess up or just say that you're getting a letter and post just your set on your Instagram. So far, the response has been absolutely amazing and has honestly blown me away because this happened super fast. From the idea to actually starting it was something like 2 days, and in that amount of time 64 people wanted to sign up for it. And since then I've had people trying to get involved in future games, and it's been so awesome so far. So if you haven't checked it out yet, head over to the Lip Lords Instagram account and start scrolling, because I've posted every single match and set so far, and there has been a lot of them. So 64 riders in the first round goes down to 32 and gets cut in half every single time until one person wins. And I think the coolest part about this is in this first game, there are no prizes or anything like that. Everyone is just involved for the fun of it, and there are some heavy hitters in here. Bobby Altizer, TJ Henderson, Sponge from the Lip Lords videos that we filmed, Clint Miller, the guy who owns Colony, Tom Justice, and I'm even getting involved in this, so if you guys want to check it out, you know where to do it. And that brings us into the videos from this week. The first one that I want to talk about comes from my buddy Kyle Olinger over in New Jersey, and it's for LBU and Dude Soup. This one got posted on their page as well as the Our BMX YouTube channel, and if you're only looking for one video to watch this week, make it this one. Kyle is one of the most well-rounded riders that I've ever met, but this one is only street and it's got some hammers in it, as well as a legitimately death-defying trick where if he had fallen off the rail, he would have fallen something like 40, maybe more feet straight to the ground. And it is nuts. I 100% recommend checking this video out. After that is a video from Fit called Doing Fit Since 2000. This is 20 years of Fit Bike Co. all summed up in just under 8 minutes. And as you can guess, it is all of the best from the past 20 years. I think my favorite and the funniest part of this video is how during the part with Brian Foster towards the end, they played goat sounds for the whole thing with Brian Foster. And of course, the end has Van Homan and a whole bunch of his hammers from the past 20 years. This is definitely one for anyone who's not only a fan of Fit, but also a fan of people like Dakota Roche, Chase Dehart, Justin Spreet, Matt Nordstrom, Brandon Began, Tom Dugan. There's so many people in here that I'm sure you'll enjoy watching. After that, we had another anniversary video in 10 years of DecoBMX, followed by Motor City Cinema. This video is 10 minutes, 43 seconds long. And let me just tell you the people who are in this video and see if it makes you want to watch it that much more. Garrett Reynolds, Chad Curley, Dakota Roche, Nathan Williams, and Corey Martinez. Cinema arguably has the best team in BMX right now, and I'm honestly pretty pumped that Blackout Distribution bought Cinema and completely turned it around, because before that, to be kind of blunt, Cinema and the quality of everything it did not live up to the quality of their team. So it's pretty awesome that they've turned things around and taken it to the next level, and not only the stuff that they're putting out there and the amount of good stuff they're putting out there, but also the content from the people who ride for them. And then the last video that I wanted to talk about this week is another in the Dig BMX Hallowed Ground series. This is episode 3 in MACBA, Barcelona, Spain. If you've seen any of the previous Hallowed Ground videos, you know that they go through the entire history of these spots with pros talking about the spots and just reminiscing over the things that have went down on them throughout the years. This one is 11 minutes 59 seconds long of straight history and hammers from this spot in Barcelona, Spain. And I definitely think that it's pretty interesting of a concept to do this, and hopefully it sparks some more stuff like this in the future, because not only do we need stuff like this with spots, like we could talk about the Church Gap in Texas and just crazy legendary spots in general, but also the riders. We need to have stuff like this about people in the history of BMX so that the new people up and coming can learn about it. There's a whole lot of people who complain about how kids don't know anything about the history of BMX, but a whole lot of those people aren't doing jack to teach those kids about the history of BMX. And I think if you're going to complain about something, you better be doing something about it to earn that right to complain. Otherwise, you're just a salty old bastard. And that brings us to the product related stuff from this week. The first thing here is one of my highlight videos to talk about this week. It came out last Friday after I finished the news video, and I honestly wish that I could have talked about it last Friday, because this is one of my favorite videos that I've seen in a long time. And this is Dave Krone's Dave Mirra BMX NBD edition video from S&M. So the concept for this video is pretty simple. Starts out just like Dave Mirra BMX, where you're picking Dave Krone to be your rider and he's picking the BTM bike. And then by the end of the video, he rides and he unlocks the new bike, the NBD. And this is an announcement of a new NBD frame from S&M. And the riding in this video, the only way I can describe this kind of is like surfing cool badass ballet on a BMX bike, not to mention the freestyle aspect of it. And I say badass ballet because this dude is so graceful looking on the bike while making it do whatever he wants it to, and it feels like it's just an extension of him while he's riding it. And it's something that you just kind of have to watch to understand, but Dave Krone can make his bike do things that I legitimately think that no one else on the planet can do with their bike. Then Odyssey has released their anodized pale pink colorway, which is available now on the Boss stem, the Brock stem, the LaGuardia sprocket, and the Lighthouse rim. And then we had a video from S&M called What It's Like to Work at S&M and Fit. And this is an episode of Kareem's World that is 21 minutes long, with Kareem just going through the entire place, doing what he does and showing what it's like to work at S&M and Fit. And that brings us into the interview section from this week. The first is Scotty Cranmer interviewing Dakota Roche over on Vital's YouTube page, as well as Scotty's YouTube page. You can find the same thing on both. This is pretty awesome, to be honest. I have only listened to a portion of it so far, but it's cool to see someone who's in Scotty's position within the YouTube world with over like 1.5 million YouTube subscribers doing an interview with someone like Dakota Roche, who is called like the most professional BMX rider out there, and he's extremely hardworking, and showing him to all of the people who watch Scotty who might not ride BMX or have ever heard of him. I think if he keeps this up and keeps educating people on the outside about the people within BMX, it could truly help BMX and do so much for getting people involved and getting more kids on bikes. Then we had another Palaver podcast come out today. This one is with Stu Johnson, and it's over 2 hours long. I'm just over a half hour into this one so far, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. And he also has Van Homan as his co-host, so I'm sure that you guys are going to enjoy this one as well. And if you don't know who Stu Johnson is, watch the beginning of this one, because they do a little bit of introducing and talking about the things that he's done and just some of who he is in general. Then after that, we had a Space Brothers podcast drop this week with Matt Beringer. This is just as much history as Stu Johnson, and I've listened to more than half of this one so far, and it has been fantastic. Matt has such a good attitude towards BMX and just riding in general, and it's good for people to hear this attitude where he's just about being himself, and that's all that really matters. And I love it. So with that being said, that's the last thing I have to talk about this week. I think, let me refresh. Yep, that's the last thing I have to talk about this week. So if you enjoyed this video or had any comments or any favorite stories or anything you want to add in the comments down below, please do so. I love to extend the conversation. If you enjoyed the video and you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below. BMX news on Fridays, tips and tricks on Tuesdays, with other types of riding videos and streams throughout the week. I want to thank you guys for being here and watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Goodbye.